Blessings, everyone, and my respects to the monks in presence. It is going to be New Year's soon, and many people have decided to go traveling. Some people are prepared to do their Buddhist chanting over the New Year's. 2025 is almost complete. For we're going to have to wait after this cycle of Buddhist teachings all the way until Maitreya, the next Buddha, arrives. So, lots of blessings for the new year. There's a lot of hope that happens around the new year. Some people are disappointed at the end of the year, haven't achieved their goals, and then have some hope again at the beginning of the new year. Some are discouraged. They want to have more strength to deal with the struggles of this world. Most people, that's all we do. Regular people in the world just hope that things go well and aren't such a struggle. Most people in the world just looking for nice things to see, hear, smell, taste, touch, pleasant worldly experiences, looking for sensual sense desire to be appeased. Most people's wishes and hopes are just, can we have pleasant sense contact? May I have pleasant sense contact? Involved in the sense desires is the only happiness they're looking for. But there's another level of happiness. There are lots of multiple levels of happiness, step by step. For us Buddhists, happiness is of no comparison to peace. That peace is a much higher, at a higher level, a higher standard than happiness is. For happiness in the world, there has to be competing against each other, battling against others to get ahead. In the world, there isn't real peace and happiness, or the true peace, the true happiness of peace available in the world. There's just competing and having to battle through difficulties to try to get places, moving ahead of others, taking from each other. If we take a look at the history of the world, there's never really been any true lasting happiness anywhere in the world. The Buddha taught us to find true happiness. It's not available amongst in the world, in worldly things. So to achieve this type of happiness is what we have to train in, what we have to practice. I can confirm for you that it's really nonsensical type of happiness that we get in the world. It's temporary and lacking substance. It's a heated type of happiness. I can say utterly and completely from my experience, I was 48 years in the world before becoming a monk, and I had to take care of my parents. I wasn't able to ordain until I was older, and I didn't have those responsibilities anymore. I had a wife and a house and car and good job and status, all the things that people are looking for in their life, but it wasn't truly satisfying being in the world. There's just a feeling that it's you're not fulfilled, and there's always more and more hunger for more and more. And the feeling I had was, this is it. This is all the world's happiness has to offer. But I practiced meditation since I was a child, so I knew about peace and higher levels of happiness to a certain extent already. Samadhi has many steps, many levels, and then there is developing wisdom where we can know the truth of the body, the mind, the five aggregates. And then there's another level of happiness at that point. There are different standards of happiness. The worldly happiness is just sense desire happiness, enamored by the things that we like and out in the world that we enjoy. But the Buddhist types of happiness are happy utterly within themselves, not requiring worldly things. And nibbana is the highest happiness. The principles of how to practice to attain nibbana are still available. Some people don't understand that nirvana is possible, and they think we just talk about nirvana to fool people, to make them be better people and such. But the masters say that there is no happiness comparable to nirvana. If we hold the precepts and keep practicing, then we get closer and closer to nibbana all the time. If we have strong enough training in morality, training in samadhi and wisdom, if we perfected great qualities, then we move closer to nibbana, and it is actually possible. Even stream mentors at the first enlightenment, they have experienced nibbana truly. Those that are still worldly people that have not attained streamed entry yet, they just can experience happiness of the world and of mindfulness and some insights. So we're in an era where the Buddha's teachings are still alive and well. This is a golden opportunity, very difficult indeed to have a period amongst humanity where Buddhism and these teachings are available. It doesn't last, it's not there all the time, and it's hard to understand because it's upstream. It works against the current of the way of the people in the world. So it's hard to understand. Well, it's very seldom indeed that Buddhism exists in the world amongst humanity. The universe or the galaxies are created or are arise and fall many, many times, sometimes without a single Buddha or any Buddhist teachings available at all. So in the era that we're in the universe and the galaxy where we are at this particular time, it's a very rare opportunity indeed. The teachings are available. There are, in this particular universe, it is said that there are 5 Buddhas in succession, not at the same time, but only 5 in this iteration of the universe. So some people don't practice and they say, well, I'll practice with the next Buddha, right? But with the next Buddha, you're just going to learn the Four Noble Truths just again. It's going to be the same teaching. What happens is people get so enamored by the world and are looking for sense desire type of happiness that they don't practice and procrastinate, push it down the line. But we'll be suffering a very, very long time if we decide to learn from the next Buddha until we finally receive those teachings. So the teachings are available now. Why don't we just practice correctly from now? It's really true and utter happiness. So how do we follow this training? Well, to start, we hold the 5 precepts of morality, just the 5. No need for more than that. Right? We just make sure that we protect our mouth, protect our actions, our deeds from doing harmful things to others. Speaking in ways where there's lying or harsh speech or idle speech, when we speak with no point to our speaking at all. We also know cursing or speaking harshly. We all know the bad words. These days, people use bad and curse words much more than they used to in the past. You hear even nice ladies or girls, you see them, proper type people, you see them swearing, and it's become sort of normal or mainstream to do so. So let's be careful about harsh speech and such things. Even when we lack mindfulness for just a very short period, we may find that we've broken or bent a precept. People speak nonsensically, harshly, lie, and things so easily. So let's start by not allowing impurities of mind to manipulate us so much so that bad things come out of our mouth or that we act in harmful ways. So let's not be defeated or allow the impurities to defeat us in such a way. So we need some inner strength to be able to keep the precepts. So we make a strong intention to refrain from doing these immoral acts. To actually keep the precepts means that if we have the opportunity to do something bad and then we refrain from it, that's keeping the precept. Not just some elderly person who doesn't see anybody, doesn't talk to anybody. That's not keeping the precepts. They don't really have the chance to. Or being not, you'd like to commit a crime, but you're afraid that the police are going to catch you, right? That's not really being moral, right? being moral is understanding that when you do bad, you're creating badness for yourself, the karma, and a feeling of shame or feeling ashamed of being a bad person or doing negative acts. That's what the heart is like for those who are keeping precepts. There's another Dhamma that is very interesting called Viveka. There are three Vivekas: body Viveka, mind Viveka, and complete Viveka. Body Viveka means isolation in a sense that we need time for our bodies to take our bodies to places that are quiet and away from others. Right? So, as lay people, how do we keep our body away from other people sometimes? How can we do it? Well, we can do it because once we've done our responsibilities and worked and prepared food and such, then we go home when we've done our responsibilities. We don't have to go out partying or trying to find exciting things out there in the world, being amongst lots of other people. I'm home. Now that's only if our house is a calm and easy place to be. These days, it's hard to find peaceful places for some quiet time alone. You can't go into the forest alone and things like that, like it could in the old days or in the Buddhist times. So just be in your home, have a home that is a friendly one, have a heart that is one where you have compassion for others. We need our family that is a cool, calm family that doesn't fight, communicates with each other well. Of course, there are going to be some disagreements, different opinions, and that, but try to understand amongst each other that you want a calm and comfortable home and try to understand them. Why is it that they think this way or feel this way? My husband does, or my children think or feel this way. And then the home can be a safe zone for us. When I practiced as a lay person, I would practice at home. I wasn't on top of mountains or deep in the forest, but there wasn't any fighting at home. It was everybody understood each other, and we would have simple happiness. There would be troubles, and we would help each other to resolve the problems. When I was a lay person, I felt I had viveka for the body because I didn't really bother with other people so much. People would invite me to parties and that, and I wouldn't go. I would refuse. I would go to funerals for appropriateness, mhm. But many people are just chattering at funerals and didn't get much viveka out of that. And but I would avoid spending too much time with other people. And when I would have holidays from work, I would find a temple to go and stay at. I had discipline and wouldn't involve myself in social gatherings any more than what was necessary. These days, we have we should take a look at our lives and see, is there a lot of social stuff that I do that really is unnecessary? Sometimes it is necessary. Like if we're doing business, we have to take care of our customers and things like that, clients. And but when we're just doing social things just for excitement and frivolous reasons, then there's really no need to do that. There's no need to be involved in whatever social things that everybody else is doing. I never did. I wouldn't go when people would have marriages or inviting people to their brand new home, house party. It doesn't matter if I'm there or not. They still get married. They still have their house. So I would, after finishing work and responsibilities, come home, freshen up, and have dinner. I would sometimes read a little bit of, briefly read some cartoons just to relax my mind and put it in um, the right temperament for practice, and then would practice. And then for viveka, or time alone or isolation of the mind, is the next thing. But the body, we have to just find opportunities to keep our own space. Like in this monastery, the monks' residences, we can't see each other from each other's residences. We have some privacy, and the monks don't socialize and chatter. They only talk a little bit to each other when they come into the meditation hall and have gatherings. The monks here follow a great discipline. In some places, they're allowed to use their phones too much and end up talking to people too much online, and things go wrong. So when we have viveka of the body, it helps us to have viveka of the mind. When considering the five aggregates, right, it starts with the coarsest things and moves to the more subtle or fine. Like the body is the coarsest, right? So that's the first one mentioned. And teachings go all the way from there, through the subtle aspects of the mind, all the way up to nibbana, the most subtle and sublime things. So Buddha, when he would teach, it was so elegant how the teachings would move from the coarsest then to the more refined. So we have isolation or space away from others, right? First it's the body, and then it moves to the mind having its own space away from the world and others. Some people don't understand when they listen to my teachings and think, what kind of teacher doesn't teach meditation, doesn't teach us to do proper meditation? But the truth is, I teach it all the time. There are different types of meditation and different types of samadhi. We can separate samadhi into two types: being with one particular object and being calm with it, concentrated, and then the type of samadhi where the mind is the stable observer. It's the knower, it's awake, it's radiant, joyful, and ready to practice vipassana insight. When people don't understand what mindfulness really is, then when they're taught to just Buddho, 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 things like that, often they end up in practicing samadhi incorrectly and end up with their mind incorrect, of the incorrect quality, of low quality. So we have to understand sati or mindfulness according to the four foundations of mindfulness. So we just keep training and understanding that there is the calmness type practice and then there is vipassana preparation practice. Those are two different types of samadhi. The key to practicing for calmness, to have the mind calm and peaceful, is we have to choose an object of meditation that we're happy to be with, that's pleasant for us. Like if when we think of the Buddha and we feel happy, then think of the Buddha often. We might Buddho as well along with it. Or if we contemplate different aspects of Dhamma and we feel happy doing, then let's do that. But that's a hard choice, a difficult choice. I use that. I contemplate Dhamma sometimes, and there's calmness, and the mind achieves samadhi from doing so. Thinking of the Buddha sometimes, or thinking about a particular Dhamma, a particular item. One of the most subtle, beautiful, refined teachings of the Buddha that I would contemplate was Paticca Samuppada, which is dependent origination, beautiful teaching. Sometimes I would think about my master, Luangpu Dun, and feel happy, think of what he teaches, what he taught me, make me happy. Some people like to free animals, like going to free fish back into a lake and feel happy about that. We can think back of doing these beautiful actions of giving life. Some people donate organs or donate blood, and we reflect on such things. We feel satisfied and comfortable within ourselves, and it helps. So some people have made offerings to me, and then later when they think about all the offerings they've done for me, some people have done many times, and think about that they've offered things to someone they respect or admire, then we can feel happy about our past doings. And once there is that happiness, then we can breathe in Bud, breathe out Do, contemplating the body, the breath, contemplating the body, the different portions of the body. Then the mind might feel satisfied or happy. And that's only for some people. Some people, when they separate the body into different pieces, like the components, like the hair, the skin, the nails, the teeth, and such, then they feel unhappy about it. They get scared, right? And the mind gets restless. But we want to have a stable observer mind. But when we want to be peaceful, let's start by not wanting to be peaceful. Don't start with greed, wanting to be peaceful, because then it won't work. So instead, just do it choose objects that make us feel happy and go from there. For the stable observer type of samadhi, when I took a look at the world, I saw that everybody's lost in thought, lost in looking, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, bodily experiences, lost in sensual desire. Nobody is aware of themselves. Their attention is out through the physical senses, just looking for sense desire, sensual desire. These days, things are getting better because of the teachings that are out there now. And so we choose a meditation object, and if you really want to be happy and free of depending on the struggle on this struggling world for your happiness, then you really have to be diligent with the practice. When we need a period of peace, then be with the meditation object. But if we want to be the stable, if it's time to be the stable observer and have correct samadhi, then we are interested in seeing or observing the mind. So we have a meditation object, but just to gauge what happens in the mind. So the mind leaves the meditation object, goes to thought, or moves into focus, then no so. If we have the mindfulness that sees that the mind has gotten lost in thought or has come into focus, then know that that has happened. And when the knowing has happened, then the mind that got lost disappears and the mind that is knowing arises. The mind that knows is not something we can command into existence. It is something that arises out of its own causes. When mindfulness knows that we're lost, the loss disappears by itself, and the mind is not lost, it's knowing. So that's the principle. It's that simple. So I teach quite easily. Just know, in the past I would just say, just know two phenomena. Know the mind that got lost, which means it forgot about the meditation object. And then there's the other direction where the mind moves into focus on the meditation object. Just know when that happens as well. Just know those two phenomena. Then we achieve correct samadhi, the stable observer mind. I've asked us to do walking formal practice for 3 hours a day. For those of you that have too much aches and pains or are too old to do that, you don't have to walk for 3 hours. Just walk as much as you can and then do sitting. But don't just sit and mindlessly in your dreamland. Make sure that you practice your mindfulness when you're sitting. But then if we just allow the mind to get lost in everything, we might be causing ourselves problems by being lost in thought for long periods of time. So it's a type of self-mortification in a way. So just practice with a mind that is regular, normal, natural, comfortable. And the body is sitting, the body is walking, and know that it is doing so. And then when the mind gets lost in thought, then know that that's happened as well. The mind leaves the object that we've chosen, and then we recognize that that's so. So the mind that gets lost or the mind that focuses in are like a pair. They're both really being lost, but one is being lost in an unskillful state, which is being lost in the thoughts, and then the other is lost in a more skillful or good state, which is trying to be good, focusing, holding.
ที่เคยบวชกับหลวงพ่อคนนั้นผู้หญิงนี่ก็อายุพอสมควรนะพอลูก
There was a lady
เข้ามาบอกหลวงพ่อนะตอนนี้
that's the wife of a former monk here.
จิตมันตื่นขึ้นมา
She asked
สว่าง
me,
ไสวัยรู้ตัวได้ดีอย่างเงี้ยเขาบอกว่าได้
she
จุด
was
กลุ่ม
she was looking great, really bright and radiant with samadhi.
พวกเราฟังแล้วใจ
And I asked her, wow, why is your mind so bright? And she said, well, I do walking 8 hours a day.
เป็นวัยที่ไม่ต้อง
She doesn't have, she's older and doesn't have to work anymore.
เด่นดวงสว่างไสวัย
Her mind is a stable observer, bright, luminous,
ทุกวันเนี้ย
and knowing.
พวกเราจำนวนมากนะหลวงพ่อถึงพูด
Many of us
ยุคของเราเนี่ย
these
คน
days,
ที่จิตตื่นขึ้นมาจริงๆเนี่ยมีเยอะนะไม่ใช่
there are a lot of
ไม่
minds
เหมือน
that have
ทุกวันนี้
awakened
ไม่มี
from the teachings now.
จิตที่ตื่นขึ้นมานี่เยอะแยะ
A lot of
พวกที่
people
ส่ง
have
พลัง
minds that can wake up.
ไม่เคยเจอหลวงพ่อนะ
There are a lot of people on the Zoom that are submitting their homework.
ผ่องใสอย่างนั้น
Many of them have never met me in person, but a lot of them, their
เมื่
mind
อวาน
looks good and bright.
สายมาดูเด็กคนนี้สิ
There was one
จิตมันตื่นนะสงบตั้ง
there was one person yesterday, a young person
ตัว
yesterday,
เนี้ยรู้ตัวอยู่
whose
ไม่ต้อง
mind
ไม่
was
ต้องควบคุมตัวเนี้ยมัน
had
มี
samadhi
มันจะเข้าโลกุตระได้แล้ว
without
ในตรงที่จิตมันตั้งมั่นขึ้นใน
any
จริง
trying to keep it or maintain it. It was automatic and natural samadhi where the mind wasn't struggling with any phenomena, letting them come and go
เมื่อมี
equanimously.
จิตตวิเวกละให้จิตเราทรงสมาธิอยู่เนี่ย
And that person is just one step away from
คือจิต
having
เรา
a
ไม่วุ่นวายนั่นแหละ
mind that transcends
ไม่
the
วุ่น
world.
วายกระทั่งอย่าไปเพ่งกรรมฐานนะอันนั้นก็ยังวุ่นวายอยู่นี่พอเรามีจิตตวิเวกแล้วก็ถึงอุปธิ
So we need to just
อุปธิวิเวก
not be burdened
สงัดจากกิเลส
with
ส
other
งัดจากกิเลสก็ทำ
with phenomena and not be burdened by other people, right? That's the not being burdened with other people is the viveka of the body, and then not being burdened by the
เราอยาก
phenomena that arise
สงัดจริง
internally is not being burdened.
ๆเข้าถึงความสงบสงัด
The
ที่
mind
แท้
not
จริง
being burdened.
ต้องฝึก
Jita
ให้ได้
viveka.
ถึงจิตตวิเวกจิตเราจะวิเวกได้นะถ้ามันพ้นจากอำนาจกิเลส
For
กิเลส
the mind to have viveka,
ถ้าเรา
or
เจริญ
that isolation,
สตินะ
we have to have
ไม่
the
เห็นความจริ
samadhi.
งของรูปนามกายใจอะกิเลสก็ปูขึ้นมาฉะนั้นเราต้องมาฝึก
And when the
แรก
mind
มีกายวิเวก
is
นะไม่คลุกคลี
not having samadhi, seeing
ปรารภความเพียร
the truth
ไป
of
ฝึกได้จิ
the
ต
things of the world, the phenomena that arise and
เราก็
fall,
มาฝึกอุปธิวิเวก
then it
การ
gets
เจริญปัญญา
lost in the world and lost in
เมื่อจิตเรา
those
ตั้ง
things.
มั่น
And it's
แล้ว
not
ความจริงอันนั้น
in a
คือขันธ์ห้า
withdrawn
ที่
or
มันแยก
isolated space on its own.
ที่บอกว่าแยกขันธ์แยกขันธ์นะที่จริงแล้วเราไม่ต้องแยกขันธ์นะมันแยก
I always
เป็น
teach
ชื่อ
us to separate the aggregates, but the real truth
สิ่ง
is
ที่
that
เรา
the
รู้สึกว่าเป็น
aggregates or the parts,
มันคือ
components,
ส่วนห้าส่วนซึ่งจริงๆมันแยกกัน
these are 5 components
แต่ว่า
that are already separate from each other. But we misinterpret, we think, and
เราไป
believe
รวบเอาไอ้ขันธ์ห้าส่วน
that
เนี่ย
these things, these 5 things, these 5 parts are just one mass, one thing called me, right?
เนี่ยถ้าเมื่อไหร่จิตเราตั้งมั่นนะเราจะเห็น
But
ว่าขันธ์
when
มัน
the
แตก
mind
ตัว
is the stable observer,
อย่า
we
งเมื่อ
can
เราจิต
see
ตั้
the
งมั่นมีส
aggregates
ติระลึกลง
separate.
ที่กายเนี่ย
And
เรา
when
จะเห็นว่า กายกับ
mindfulness
จิตโคละอันกัน เรา
sees
จะเห็น
the
ได้ชัด
body,
ว่ากายไม่
it
ใช่
sees
เรา
that the mind and the body are
ร่าง
two
กาย
different
ไม่ใช่
things.
เรา
The body is not us.
เป็นสิ่งที่จิตไปรู้เข้า
It's just
ร่างกาย
something that the mind
เป็นธรรม
knows or
ชาติ
sees.
นะที่มีธาตุ
It's
สี่
just a
ธาตุ
natural
ธาตุ
phenomenon with
เปลี่ยนแปลง
different
ไปเรื่อย
elements
ๆ
coming and
บัง
going
คับ
in
จน
constant
จุดหนึ่ง
flux
มันก็แตกสลายไป
and not under
คื
control.
นธาตุเนี่ย
One
มันโล
day,
กไป
those elements,
อันนี้ก็เป็นแค่
that
สมมติ
body
นะ
will just
คือ
return
ให้
to
รู้
be returned to the
ว่า
world.
จริงๆ
It'll
เนี่ย
be
ร่างกาย
sacrificed.
เราเนี่ยมันเป็นสมบัติของโลก
It'll dissolve.
จิตที่หมายรู้ผิดจิตที่คิดผิดจิตที่เชื่อผิดอ่ะ
So the
ไม่
mind that
คิดว่าธาตุ
misunderstands
ของโลกมาเป็นตัวเราของเรา
believes that
แต่ถ้าจิตเราตั้ง
these
มั่นในปัญญา
elements
มัน
and
จะเกิด
that
อย่าง
belong
นี้
to
ธา
the
ตุ
world,
สมบัติของโลก
that we own them,
มันจะ
that
รู้
they're
เลย
us.
กายนี้ว่าง
That's the misunderstanding.
กายนี้ว่าง
But
จาก
one
ความ
who
เป็นคน
sees
เป็
the
นสัตว์ เป็น
truth
เรา เป็น
sees
เขา
that it's
ร่างกาย
actually
นี้กับโลกข้าง
this
นอก
body is empty.
เป็นอัน
It's
เดียวกัน
empty
เสม
of
อ กั
a
น เป็น
sense
อัน
of
เดียวกัน
self, of being a me, a
เนี่
you,
ย
a person.
ถ้าจิตเราตั้งมั่นพอนะปัญญา
When
มัน
the
เกิด
mind is
เห็นไหม
sufficiently
ร่างกายกับโลกข้างนอกเป็นอันเดียวกัน ร่าง
a
กายมันเป็น วั
stable
ตถุ
knowing mind,
และสิ่งที่
then
ใจ
it'll
ในร่าง
see
กาย
that this is just
มันคือ
material
ตัวเวท
things,
นา
this
ทาง
body.
กาย
And then
เมื่
within
อ
the
อย่างนั้น
body, there
พอ
are
จิ
the
ตเราตั้ง
physical
มั่น ความ
sensations.
เกิดเจ็บ เกิดปวดในร่างกาย
And
เกิด
there's
มันจะเห็น
with the mind
ควา
as
ม
a
เจ็บปว
stable
ดทั้งหลาย
observer,
กับร่าง
seeing
กาย
the
เนี่ยคนละอัน
pain
กัน
in the body, for
มัน
example,
คน
one
ละ
of
อั
the
นกัน
sensations,
อย่าง
it'll
ร่าง
see
กาย
it's
เรา
not
เฉ
the
ยๆ
body,
เนี่ย เรา
but
ตั้ง
it's
มั่น
something
ไว้
that comes and
เราก็
goes
จะรู้เลย
within
จิตเรา
the
ตั้ง มั่น
body.
เรา
Right?
ความ
So if
ปวด
we're
ปวด
sitting and
เข้า
we
ใน
start
ร่าง
getting
กาย
achy,
ความ
we
ปวด
can
มัน
see
แทรก
that
มาในร่าง
the
กาย มันไม่ใช่ร่างกาย
sensations
ความ
come
ปวด
in
มัน
to
ไม่ใช่วัตถุ
interfere,
นะ
but they
เป็น
aren't
ความรู้สึก
actual
ที่แทรกเข้ามา
material
ในร่าง
things.
กาย
It's they're their feelings that come
ห
into
รือ
the
ความ
body.
สุข ความทุกข์ทางใจก็เหมือนกัน ความสุข ความทุกข์
And
ทางใจนะ
the same is
ถ้า
true
ตั้ง
with
มั่น
feeling
ตรงนี้
pleasant or
ความ
unpleasant
สุข
in
ความ
the
ทุกข์
heart or in the mind.
มันเหมือนเมฆลอยผ่านมา แล้วก็ลอยไป ลอยมา
These are
ลอยไป
things that float in
เห
and
มือน
float
ความ
out
ฝัน
like a dream.
บรรดาเจตสิกนะ คือความรู้สึกสุข
There's
ทุกข์ ความ
they're
จำได้
just
ความหมาย
mental factors or
ความปรุงดี
formations.
ความปรุงชั่วเนี่ย อันนี้เป็น
All
สา
the
ม ขันธ์
pleasant and the
เวทนาขันธ์
unpleasant
สุข ทุก
states and
ข์
neutral
เฉย
states,
ๆ ไม่สุข ไม่ทุกข์
the
สัญญาขันธ์ ความจำได้
good
จำ
and
ไม่
bad, wholesome, unwholesome
หรือ
mental
สังขาร
states,
ขันธ์ ความปรุงดี ความปรุงชั่ว ความปรุงดี
all
และ
just
ชั่ว
different factors and
สิ่งเหล่า
formations
เนี้ย
of the mind.
เหมือนความ
There's
ฝัน
also perception and memory.
มัน
These
มี
are
อ
all
ยู่
just
แต่เรา
like
จับต้องไม่ได้
dreams.
จริง
It's
ควา
like
มฝันเราจับต้องไม่ได้ใช่ไหม
they
ความ
exist,
สุขในใจเราจับต้อง
but
ไม่
we
ได้
can't really grab them
ค
or
วามทุกข์ใน
grasp
ใจ
them,
ก็
can
เป็น
we?
ของที่จับต้องไม่ได้
All these things that are
มีเหตุ
mental
ผลมา
constructions
หมด
that
ไป
are
แล้วก็
happening
ไป
internally, they just
กุศล
come
อ
and
กุศ
go,
ลในใจ
float
เรา
in,
จับต้อง
float
ไม่
out,
ได้
and we can't quite grab them
ค
or
วบคุม
grasp
ไม่ได้
them,
บังคับไม่ได้
can't control
เรียก
them.
เจตสิกธรรมทั้งหลา
We
ย
can't force them to
คื
be
อ
how
ธรร
we
มะที่ประกอบจิต
in any way,
ทั้งสุขทุกข์นะ ทั้งความจำได้หมายรู้
whether it's
ทั้งความปรุง
happy,
ดี ปรุงชั่ว
unhappy,
มันเหมือนเราฝัน
interpretation and
ตอ
memory,
นนี้เรากำลังฝัน
or
อยู่ว่า
the
ความสุข
producing
ความฝัน
different
เราจับต้องไม่ได้
fabrications, good and
แต่
bad,
รู้ว่า
wholesome, unwholesome.
ความรู้สึก
They
ใหม่
all
ๆ ในใจเรา
come
เหมือนค
and
น
they
ฝัน
all go.
มาแล้วก็ไป มา
All
แล้
the
วก็ไป
different feelings are
สั่งให้
just
มา
things
ก็ไม่
that
ได้
float
อย่า
by
จุก
like
ให้ฝันเรื่อง
dreams.
นี้
We
สั่
can't
งไม่ได้ อย่าฝันเรื่องนี้
order
สั่งไม่
them.
ได้
I want to
สังเกต
dream
ไปเรื่
about
อยๆ
this
จิตเรา
in
เห็น
particular, right? We
เรา
can't
เห็น
do
ร่าง
that.
กายเนี่ยเป็น
Want
แค่
to
วัต
feel
ถุ
this
ธา
in
ตุ ย่อย
particular. We can't do that.
เราเห็นเจตสิกคือเวทนา สัญญา สังขาร เหมือนความฝัน ผ่าน
So
มา แล้วก็ผ่านไป
the
หาสาระ
aggregates
แก่น
that
สาร
are
อะไรที่
the
แท้จริงไม่ได้
the
ให้จิต
feelings
เราค่อยๆ
and
มีอะไร
memory
มากขึ้นนะ
and
มันเข้ามาใกล้
all the
จิต
mental
มากขึ้นเรื่อย
formations.
ๆ ตัวร่าง
We
กาย
see
เป็น
all
มาก
these
ที่สุด
things
นะ ตัวเจตสิกธรรม ตัวสุขทุกข์
as
ตัวความจำ
transient
ได้
things.
หมายรู้ ตัวปรุงดี ปรุงชั่ว ละเอียดกว่าร่างกายนะ แต่ก็ยัง
So we start
หยาบกว่าอะไร
the
หยาบกว่าจิต
aggregates are classified first as
นี่
the
พวกเรา
body. That's
รู้
the
ทัน
coarsest.
สุขทุกข์ดีชั่ว
And
เหมือน
then
ความฝัน ไม่ใช่
the
ตัวเรา ไม่ใช่
next
ของ
is coarse is
ไม่
the,
ใช่เห็น
the
เลยจิต
physical
ที่
sensations
เรา
and
ฝึก
the
ใหม่
pleasant
ที่
and
จิตเรา
unpleasant
รู้
feelings.
ที่มันตั้ง
It
มั่น
gets
เอง
more and more refined from 1 to
ทีแร
5.
กเรารู้สึกว่าจิตนี่
Like
คือ
the
ตัวเรา
fifth is
ใน
the
บรรดาขันธ์ทั้งหลาย
vijnana
นะ สิ่งที่รู้สึกว่าเป็นเรา
aggregate or
คือสุขคือจิต
consciousness. That's the
สิ่
thing
ง
that we
ที่เรา
believe is
เรา
us
เห็
the
นผิดว่า
most.
เป็นเราอย่างที่สุด ก็คือ
It's
จิ
the
ต
hardest thing
นะ รู้สึก
to
ไหมในจิต มี
eliminate
เรา
the
เป็นเรา
sense that it is a me,
เรา
that
คนนี้เป็น
delusion.
คนไป
It's
เห็น
the
รูป
hardest
เรา
of
คนนี้
the
ได้ยิน
5
เสียง
to
เราคนนี้เป็นคนคิดนะเราคนนี้มีความสุข เรา
to
คนนี้มีความทุกข์
eliminate the sense of self in the consciousness, right? Because when we hear, when there's thinking and seeing and such things,
เอ๊ะตัว
there's a
ขันธ์
feeling like that's
สี่ขันธ์
me
แรกเราเห็น
who's
ไม่ใช่เรา
there's a me
ร่าง
who's
กาย
hearing,
นี่
a
เป็น
me
วัต
who's
ถุ
seeing,
ไม่
a
ใช่
me
เรา
who's thinking,
เจ
for
ตสิ
example.
กนะคือตัวเวทนา สุขทุกข์เฉยๆ ตัวสัญญา ความจำได้หมายรู้ ตัวสังขาร ความปรุงดี ปรุงชั่ว ปรุง
So So all the different mental factors and formations, they're all like a dream. the feelings, memory, mental formations, good and bad states of mind, they all come and go. The the mind itself, the consciousness, is just really is not a self either. It's just a natural thing that receives the experiences, that knows objects. It's a bare knower of objects. But to see that it isn't a self or isn't you, practice, as I said, to see that the mind leaves the meditation object, so the mind comes back and focuses on the meditation object, then know that. You see that the mind or the consciousness itself, one moment it's the one lost in thought, then it's the one knowing, then it's the one focusing, then it's the one knowing, then it's the one listening, lost in listening, then it's the one knowing, then it's lost in thought, and then it's knowing, then it's lost in feeling something of the at the body, and then it's knowing. So one moment this consciousness is lost in a sense or lost in thought, and then the next moment it is the knowing presence. So we're not able to see the truth when we're just lost in the world, lost in the senses, and lost in thought, because there isn't any mindfulness. And so we just believe that there is a self. But when we have mindfulness, then we are able to then achieve samma samadhi, the most important of the eightfold path where it all comes together. Without samma samadhi, or the correct stability of the observer mind, right? The correct knowing mind, the samma samadhi, don't even consider, and no need to consider enlightenment at all. It's impossible. So with samma samadhi, we then see the mind that gets lost in thought also disappears. Those of us unenlightened with a feeling of a self, or the wrong view of a self, it feels like there's somebody in here that consistently, it's the same person in here as yesterday. And why do we have that sense? Because we don't have enough momentum and power to the stable observer samadhi. Right? The knower arises at the mind, and then it disappears. And then we're seeing a form, and the mind arises at the form and then passes away at the form. So there isn't one mind, there isn't one consciousness. That's wrong view to believe that there is one consciousness. Believing that the consciousness is lasting or eternal, like a soul. But the truth is, and we believe that it's our consciousness, but it isn't really our consciousness. If we have enough mindfulness and enough samadhi, then we see that the mind actually arises and falls where it arises. So it arises at the eyes, it falls at the eyes. It arises at the ears, it falls at the ears. It arises at the nose, falls at the nose. At the tongue, arises and falls, right? And when it arises in the mind, it falls at the mind. There isn't just one mind or consciousness that moves from one place to the other. It feels like that often. So when we see the mind moves out to things, then know that. And when the mind focuses in, then know that. Practice that way, but that's not precisely correctly what happens. What actually happens is the mind arises, falls away wherever it arises, and a different mind arises in the next place, and then that falls away. So the mind that is thinking arises in the thinking, and then when there's mindfulness, it disappears in the thinking, and then arises as knowing, and then falls away at knowing, and then arises elsewhere after that. When we don't have strong enough or complete mindfulness, we're going to get lost. There's no way around it. right? We just have the mindfulness that sees it and sees that the mind is not one particular mind, but a mind that arises and falls in different places. Can we understand that?
เนี่ยเคลื่อนช้าๆอย่างนี้นะจิตลงไปคิดนะ10 รอบแล้ว
Even just moving slowly, like I just did, the mind arises and falls 10 times. Even just one movement like that, it arises and falls 10 times.
จิตทุกชนิดไม่ใช่ดวงเดียวอะไรเงี้ยฟังแล้วยากนะแต่ถ้าเราทำตามลำดับมานะ
So it's not easy to see the truth that the mind arises and falls in the new life, arises and falls in the next place. But we do see this eventually. We do it step by step. We practice our
มันก็จะเห็นนะโลกนี้ไม่มีอะไรโลกนี้ที่คนหลงอยู่นะ
the precepts practice,
ในรูปในเสียงในกลิ่น
train
ใน
the
รส
mind
ใน
to
สัม
have
ผัส
samadhi
คิดว่า
and
นำความสุขมาให้แท้จริงแล้วมัน
and
นำค
then
วามทุกข์
wisdom
มาให้นะ
starts to arise.
เวลาเราเห็น
Many of us think that the world and the senses are the things that are going to bring the happiness, and we want that happiness to
พอมันหายไปเราก็เสียใจอย่างเรา
we want that happiness to
จีบ
last.
ผู้หญิงคนนั้นเขาสวยนะ
Like we see
เราเห็นแล้วเรามีความสุขนะแล้ววันหนึ่งเขาหายไป
beautiful things or a pretty girl out there and think that we're going to be happy for a long time or forever because of getting those things, but it's impossible, right? You want to order may I be handsome forever, right? You don't get to keep it, right? There's no fulfillment from that, the things in the world that we think are going to make us happy. It's just so temporary. Worldly happiness is like medicine that's symptom relief only. The problem is we attach to these 5 aggregates, this body and mind, and believe they are us, and then suffer because of that. True, good practitioners are happy to have samadhi. There's happy in and of oneself without need for the world. There are states of mind called the Brahma lokas that are sublime states, 20 different levels of sublime states called the Brahma lokas. And even those, as sublime as they are, is still suffering. It's still suffering because the mind itself, the consciousness itself that experiences it, is suffering. And so there'll be no release, no freedom or release of attachment until the truth of suffering is seen. And once the truth of suffering is seen, then the desire for the aggregates is eliminated automatically. The enlightenment at once returner sees that the body is suffering itself, that there's no attachment or desire for the body to have any happiness because it sees that the body is a suffering thing. It's not. So it no longer struggles with regards to the body and then we see that it doesn't matter what objects, whatever phenomena are occurring, that every time a phenomenon occurs, and it happens all the time, all day and all night incessantly, that there's suffering. It's a burden to the mind to have phenomena coming and going. You see that the mind is something that just has to know objects and has to know phenomena all the time, and it's an unbelievable burden. Right? The body gets to rest, right? We sleep or rest. The body gets a rest, but the mind never gets a rest. Things are always changing, moving, wavering, quivering, phenomena coming and going incessantly, never a rest. Women say that childbirth is the most suffering or most painful thing. I've never experienced that, but the mind itself is what's truly suffering the most. Always working, never stop. It's like a slave. It's more than a slave, never resting. It is suffering itself in all the worlds and all the realms and all the universe. There's nothing suffering more than the mind itself. And when we see that the mind is suffering itself, then we're able to release attachment to it. When we see the body is suffering, then we release attachment to it too. We let go of it and then let go of the mind when seeing that it is suffering. You see that there isn't anywhere that we can be born in, not one realm that is free of suffering, because there's always a mind, and the mind is suffering no matter where we're born. It's just that sometimes it's in the mind is in sublime states, but it's still the mind. There once was a deity eventually we'll see that this world is really bland. It doesn't matter whether it's worldly, just regular, ordinary worldly things, or whether it's sublime levels that that the deities brag about or talk about. But all these things have a burden, and even deities approach the Buddha first arguing with him, and then eventually just admitting that he's right, that there is a burden and it is suffering to be in existence in any realm whatsoever. So a blessing for the New Year's for everybody. Let's do good. Let's be good people and refrain from doing bad things. The world just is never still. Everything is always changing. And it is a chaotic place. And let's be with this world in a way with much less suffering or completely free from suffering, because the world is itself is never a peaceful thing. So let's keep training and practicing until our mind gets cleaner and cleaner inside. I can't do it for you. We can't do it for you. So practice for yourself and be happy